Good morning, good afternoon and good evening class. This is our lecture number 3rd of subject OC and chapter 2, that is Principles of Management. In previous 2 lectures we have discussed about the introduction and meaning, nature and importance of Principles of Management. Today in Thoughts of Management we are going to discuss about the thoughts of classical theory, which we have already discussed in lecture number 2. Secondly, thoughts of neoclassical theory, which is the advanced level of classical theory, and lastly we will discuss about the thoughts of modern management or modern theory. One thing which I have to mention here is that these different kinds of theories, whether it is classical, neoclassical or modern, is evolved as per the experience and experiments of different authors during the different situations and circumstances. In last lecture we have already discussed of thoughts of classical theory, but here before starting the second thought, that is thoughts of neoclassical theory, let us take an overview of these thoughts of classical theory. Thoughts of management presented till end of 19th century, as we have already discussed, is known as the thoughts of classical theory. Main promoters of thoughts were Frederick Taylor, Max Weber, Gilbreth, Henry Gann and Henry Fair. In which, in last lecture, we have discussed that Frederick Taylor, who is the promoter of scientific management, he has given different 8 principles of scientific management, in which he has focused on the scientific training and recruitment of the employees and time and motion studies. Then secondly we have discussed about the Henry Fair. He is the father of general management and he has given 14 different principles. And lastly we have discussed about the Max Weber and limitations. Due to some of the limitation of thoughts of classical theory, like importance to financial motivation and less importance to human approach and informal relation. So whenever new thought or new theory emerges, it emerges from the limitations of the previous theory. So here also the limitation of classical theory, that is 2 limitations, that is first one is a higher importance to financial motivation and second one is a less important to human approach and informal relation. There is a new theory, that is neoclassical theory, is emerged. So let us start with point number 2.2, that is thoughts of neoclassical theory, which is given on page number 21 of your textbook. To remove some limitations of thoughts of classical theory, some management experts made changes and established new approaches, which is called thoughts of neoclassical theory. What is the meaning of neoclassical? Neoclassical means some of the elements of classical theory are taken as it is, while in neoclassical theory we are upgrading the level of classical theory with some new thoughts, and that's why it is called neoclassical theory. And it comes between the modern management and classical theory, because during this time period, from the limitation of classical theory, some of the experts have maintained or emerged, or we can say experiment, different thoughts and behavior, which we are going to discuss in the neoclassical theory. At the end of the 19th century, after industrial revolution, formats of units and industries was changed and a need was arise for new kind of management. As we have seen here that the thoughts of classical theory were up to the end of 19th century. Because after the end of 19th century, the format of business unit, that is sole proprietorship, partnership and cooperative societies are converted into a company form, which is a very advanced level. And in production techniques also, in place of manual and semi-automatic, now we are having the industrial revolution and we are using the best technology, that is automatic technology, in place of old techniques. So at the end of 19th century, after industrial revolution, it means the evolution of new industries, format of units and industries was changed, and a need was arise for new kind of management, because the principles given in the classical theory are basically based on the traditional methods and on the traditional tools, where majority of the workers are working on a manual basis and their industrial size is very limited. But as the industry is grown very fast and there emerged a new need of new management, now we are having the neoclassical theories. In the start of 20th century, so I have mentioned over here the thoughts of neoclassical theory because it is till the end of 19th century, and neoclassical starts with the start of 20th century. So, at the start of 20th century, Australian industrial psychologist, the type of psychologist is industrial, Elton Mayo's theory of Hawthorne give a new birth to behavior-oriented thoughts. So, it is most important part of the neoclassical theory, that is Hawthorne theory, and the theory of Hawthorne is promoted by Mr. Elton Mayo. That's why he is the promoter of thought of neoclassical theory and also promoter of thought of behavior-related thoughts. So, in the starting of 20th century, due to the efforts of Australian industrial psychologist Elton Mayo is a name of psychologist who has put forward the theory of Hawthorne. Gave a new birth to behavior-oriented thoughts. So Elton Mayo is called promoter of thoughts of neoclassical theory, which I have already mentioned over here. Thoughts of neoclassical theory emphasizes upon behavior approach and group behavior for management. So like this statement, his thought of neoclassical theory is based on the behavior related thoughts and group behavior theory. Done? Now next, additions were made to thoughts of neoclassical theory like informal organization, human behavior, human relations, inspiration, etc. are elements based on thoughts of classical theory. So here I have mentioned that. Let us again focus on the limitations of thoughts of classical theory. The first limitation of classical theory was that importance to financial motivation and less importance to human approach and informal relation. So to correct this situation, here they have firstly focused on the informal organization, that is informal relation between the employees. Second thing was the human approach. So here they have considered human behavior as a main point, human behavior and human relations. And instead of financial motivation, they have taken inspiration as one of the elements of neoclassical theory. So basically the crux, or we can say the development of neoclassical theory, is on the limitations of classical theory. Who are the different authors or thinkers who has given their contribution to the neoclassical theory? Then the name are as follows. First one is Elton Mayo, because he is the promoter of thought of classical theory. Second one is Herzberg. Herzberg has given theory of X and theory of Y. Then Francis Likert. Today the Likert scale is using in different kind of questionnaire methods, where we have to give a number from 1 to 5 for a services or any kind of, that is Likert scale, and it is developed by the Francis Likert. Then Chris Argyris, his theory is also there. McGregor, theory of Z, and Abraham Maslow. About this Maslow's theory we'll learn in chapter number 6, that is in direction, and in motivation part we'll learn about the Abraham Maslow's theory of motivation. So these 6 different thinkers and authors have given their contribution in the thoughts of neoclassical theory. Now let us move towards the thoughts of human behavior related, or the thoughts of behavior related, which is a part of the thoughts of neoclassical theory. Basically, here we are discussing three theories: thoughts of classical theory, thoughts of neoclassical theory, and thoughts of modern management. And this one, that is point number 2.2.1, thoughts of behavior related, is a part of thought of neoclassical theory given by Elton Mayo. Management is an art of getting work done from others. So it is the definition of management, that it is the art that how to get work done from others and how to use this for the betterment of the organization. As Professor Urvik said, I have mentioned over here that you manage your man will manage the rest of all. It means here he has shown the importance of a person, or we can say the employees or workers in the organization. You just manage your man. It means those who are working in your organization, you have to manage them only. You have to satisfy them. And your man means those who are satisfied by you will manage the rest of all. It means there will be the highest level of integrity, loyalty and honesty towards the organization by them. So here they have mentioned this point because it is the behavior related thought, and amongst all the factors of production, the human element is the most dynamic and the most important assets of an organization. So once you satisfy your man will satisfy, or he will work for you at up to the any extent. That's why Professor Ulrich has focused or given more importance to the behavior related thoughts. Likewise, employees or a person is having an important place in unit. Amongst the all factors, that is land, labor, capital and entrepreneur, labor is the most important element which we are going to discuss in chapter number 5 also. Since the management is being done by a person, management study becomes a study of interhuman relation. That's why I have mentioned over here that management study becomes a study of interhuman relations. Because first of all, we need a management when there is two or more persons are working together. And if they have to work together, then there's some kind of specific and clear-cut relations among them should be established. So here, the management study becomes a study of interhuman relations, because here you have to maintain these human relations amongst the organization so that we can achieve our goal very easily. Since the management is being done by a person, management study becomes a study of interhuman relations. Main point of management task is of human behavior and human relations, or human behavior or human relations. Hence, behavior related thought emphasize on job satisfaction and increasing efficiency of employees by using psychological observations. Here, as we have discussed that, here you have to give them highest level of satisfaction. What is job satisfaction? A person is satisfied with his job, and that is only able, or it only happens when they are happy at their workplace. You have to provide them conducive work environment, proper facility of air and lighting is there, proper canteen facility, and everything you have to provide so that their job satisfaction level is higher, and it will result in increasing efficiency of employees, because once they are satisfied, their efficiency level will be highest, and it can be happen with the psychological observation. It means you have to observe each and every activity of your employees and try to provide them best level of satisfaction. So, concepts like interhuman relations, I have mentioned over here also, that concepts like interhuman relations, motivation, leadership, information communication process, disposal of industrial disputes, are included in behavior related thoughts. First one is the interhuman relations, means there is a clear-cut relationship between all the employees or all the levels of an organization. Leadership is a style where the leader is leading the team and he is providing the direction to the employees. Information communication process, it means there should be clear-cut communication process between the employees and their superiors, and their proper link between the superiors and subordinates. Here I have skipped this motivation. Motivation means to give them to provide them a proper encouragement so that they can work with very happiness. Disposal of industrial disputes. Disputes means there is some kind of misunderstanding or change in the thoughts of the management. So here, with the use of proper behavior related thought, we can dispose of, or we can say that we can remove this industrial disputes between the two class of workers or superiors and subordinates. So these are the points which are included in the behavior related thoughts. Since this approach is psychological, it means it cannot be measured in any terms. It means the measurement of this is not possible at all. It seems that economic parameter has been neglected. As we have seen in classical theory that they are giving more importance to financial motivation. Here in behavior related thought, the economic parameter, that is financial motivation, has been neglected. Some writers logically say, so here I have mentioned that the limitation. So limitations of this thought is over here. Some writers logically say the human relation cannot be maintained at the cost of productivity. Because when once you are trying to setting the human relations or interhuman relations among these employees, sometimes it may happen that you may neglect the production and productivity for trying to maintain the human relation. So some writers logically say the human relations cannot be maintained at the cost of productivity, which is the main limitation of this approach. Now, last but not least, that is the thoughts of modern management, which are using even in today's industrial era also. A change was occurred in the format of industry and business units after 1960. So the thoughts of modern management applicable after 1960, where industrial revolution taken place at a very full-fledged rate. As a result, a need of special approach of management was arise. Initially, in both of these theory, there is a need of a proper channel or a proper working is there. But here in modern management style, due to change in the format of factories and industries, we require to have a special professional class of manager, and where advocacy in these thoughts for psychology. So here, which kind of different professional we require? So first of all, it is psychology, social studies, statistics, mathematics, and computer information technology, etc. were made. So now, in the organization, we require a special class of people from these different functional areas, that is psychology, social studies, statistics, mathematics, and computer information technology is required. Now lastly, management gurus like Kunz O'Donnell, George R. Terry have contributed in this thought. I have already mentioned that Kunz O'Donnell and George R. Terry contributed. Moreover, Peter F. Drucker, William Ochi, and C.K. Prahalad have also contributed in this thought. So here we have to remember the name of these five authors, that is Kunz O'Donnell, George R. Terry, Peter F. Drucker, William Ochi, and C.K. Prahalad in the contribution of modern thoughts of management. So here we end up this lecture number 3. Today we have discussed a crux of theory of classical theory, thoughts of neoclassical theory, and specifically contribution of Elton Mayer in a detail. Then we discussed about the thoughts of human behavior related, which is a part of the neoclassical theory, and lastly we have discussed the thoughts of modern management. In all these three theories, you have to remember the starting of the theory and the contributors. Here the main contribution of these five authors, but there is Frederick Taylor, Henry Fayol and Max Weber is in detail, while here among all these things the Anton Mayos contribution is highest, and here there is a 5 different authors. So you have to remember all these points, and it can be asked in a 3 marks in a board examination. Thank you very much.